Okay. So today, as always, the chat. Feel free to send any comments through there, but also just feel free to jump in whenever if you have any questions. Again, our project team, Community Design Group, and WSB teamed up on this effort, working with the city of Chaska. And for today, this is the agenda I sent out yesterday. And to provide just a quick overview, we'll talk just a little bit about community engagement and what's upcoming, which is basically listening sessions. So we'll take a couple of minutes to talk about updates there. And the bulk of our meeting is actually to talk about the plan document itself and the process that we're going to use for review. And so, like I said, the meeting, might not take the full hour, but it's a really important meeting because it puts into context how we're going to be working with each other to get the draft plan reviewed and how we're going to be getting the chapters kind of assembled. So with that, I will talk a little bit about community engagement. As you know, we've had a pretty successful community engagement effort. We initially set up an ambitious goal of having 1,000 residents participating in plan activities. And we met that and actually exceeded it by a little bit. So we've had great engagement as part of this plan. We've gotten a lot of information gathered. One of the things that we noticed, though, is that there are population groups within Chaska with whom we didn't really interact as much as we would have liked to. And so we are going to be making proactive efforts to go out and meet members of these different communities through the different organizations that they're part of, so that we can have those perspectives also inform the recommendations of the plan. The approach we're going to be using is that of listening sessions, which is basically where we go to where people are. We go to the organizations or the places where they might gather, where they may work, and we will bring some information about the plan, and we'll ask some questions about what they would like to see in Chaska for walking and biking. And we've also, just about a month ago, we were in River City Days and had about 200 people that we interacted with there. We have 3 listening sessions that are in the process of being scheduled. And those 3 are the Mountain Bike Club, the Carver County Community Development Agency, and then the third one was going to be the Riverview Terrace soccer program, but that has ended now. And so we are looking to find another organization to host us, and the population that we would have been reaching with the Riverview Terrace program would be Spanish-speaking families and individuals in Chaska. So there are other organizations that we will be connecting with. And I should also say that these top 3 organizations that are, or the 3 selected listening session hosts or activities were actually selected by the steering committee in some of the survey and vote activities that we had in previous meetings. So with that, I know that Mary, and I want to say, I'm very grateful to Mary and to Marshall for the efforts that they're doing to facilitate that coordination with the 3 hosts. And maybe I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll ask Mary if there are updates that she would like to share related to that.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, we actually have had a good week here with getting some results. Kevin and Officer Julie and I met with Mary Bello last week, and very engaged conversation, and she's going to help us kind of with the idea of hosting a session out at Riverview Mobile Home Park. So we're looking at early October for that, and we decided we're going to entice folks with food to get them there. So So we have that one. We just need to hone in on the final date and confirm that. I also made good progress this morning with the CDA. We are going to be hosting a listening session out at Lake Grace Apartments, where there is a fairly high percentage of Somalian families that live out there. So we're hoping to possibly get some help with District 112 for translation and get some good feedback there as well. And then lastly, mountain bike group. I'm kind of leaving that one, will probably be the easier of the three to get lined up. So I'm kind of leaving that one for the latter part. Because we'll just probably bop in there to find them after a practice on a day that works. So kind of honing in on that. And I'm excited about the opportunity at Lake Grace. I live kind of in that area and I walk a lot over that way. And I am starting to see more and more Somalian families out walking. And I'm excited to be able to get some feedback from them and see what they think. And, you know, what ideas they may want to share with us. So I think we're making good progress there.
Well, that sounds wonderful to me. Thank you very much, Mary and Kevin, for all those efforts in coordinating. So thank you. It's going to be very important. And like you say, it will be really key to learn, you know, from the Somali community and from other communities, what it is that they're looking for in terms of walk and bike facilities, programs, destinations, just to get kind of more information into our perspective and recommendations. So thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions or thoughts related to the listening sessions, anyone? Any additional questions or comments related to engagement at this point? And, you know, the listening sessions or other engagement that you may be interested in discussing.
I'm assuming this group, if we wanted to, can come to the listening sessions.
I would imagine so. Sometimes, you know, depending on how they are set up, you know, and it's in some ways it is good to show up, because then that helps build a relationship. But sometimes, depending on the host, and this is something that we should ask the host, depending on the host, it might be sometimes difficult or uncomfortable if there are too many people who are outsiders to that community or that group that might come, you know, in a big number and actually, you know, feel like, oh, who are these folks, you know, and so something that we like to do when we're setting up listening sessions is to have that conversation with the host ahead of time. And, you know, it wouldn't be necessary to have other steering committee members come. I mean, we want to have, you know, I'll be there, you know, we'll have the questions and we'll work with the facilitator or with the translator as needed. But we generally want to have this, the idea with listening sessions is that we go into a place that is comfortable and kind of owned by a population or a group that we generally are not interacting with. And so because we're going into their space, we want to be respectful of that and thinking about how to, you know, to keep that sense of comfort and ownership that they have been having and are accustomed to having. And, you know, the other part about it, and I think it would be good to build a relationship with the organizations and groups, but just the same as in other human relationships, it takes time to do that. And in many cases, I mean, it may be that this is the first interaction that is occurring between, you know, for sure between the plan, but maybe from other city activities. And so we want to not rush into things. We want to take it easy. We don't want them to see us as, being too much too soon. We'll take our time. We'll go longer together.
Yeah, no, that makes sense too.
But yeah, so we'll figure that out as we move forward. And that was a great question, by the way, Kevin. Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions related to engagement? All right, I am going back to my screen. Takes a little while to switch around. Let's see if it comes up. Oh, there it is. Okay. So the next thing is a very exciting thing, is to talk about the development of the plan and the review process for it. So, where are we in the plan development process, and why am I talking about review? Well, we have now we have a skeleton of the entire plan document with content in various stages of development along the whole document. And the document right now is about 120 pages. There's narrative and images and maps, in a kind of a very uneven set of stages depending on the chapter. But we have that, and we have been populating it with information and images that are specific to Chaska, and that really paint the picture not only of what is here, but what we want to be here, and also what possibilities are there, what options are there. So we have a draft that, as I said, is in here. You can see this is the cover, and I also would like to point out these are images that have been provided to us by the steering committee members and by the city. So those images that we've been talking about are really key and important for the plan, and are part of making this plan feel like your plan, like the plan for Chaska. As we're discussing the documents, I want to talk about the goals of the plan as well, because that's also kind of something key to keep in mind right now. There are 3 goals overall, as I see them, and as we are writing them in the plan. But we're writing 2 of them, and the third goal we keep in the back of our mind. The first goal, and the most important goal, is that the purpose of the plan is to increase the number of people who are walking or biking in Chaska. The purpose of the plan is to outline those recommendations that are going to make it possible and are going to make it inviting for more people to walk or bike. So that's the number 1 goal. A related goal, it's to have this plan be a tool to support the work of your elected officials, your city staff, in making life in Chaska better every day for people who live in Chaska, who visit Chaska, who work in Chaska. We want to make Chaska a better place every day. And that's the work that many of you are doing as part of your daily jobs in the city, and with the work that you're doing as elected officials, etc. So those are 2 goals, but there's a third goal as well that is also a really important one, and it was actually stated pretty clearly in the request for proposals that we responded to, and that's to have Chaska gain recognition as a bicycle-friendly community, which sounds like a very specific thing, but it basically says we want to know what we need to do to make Chaska, to increase the number of people walking and biking, etc. But we also want to be recognized as a community that is really putting effort towards this. And the League of American Bicyclists is a national organization that designates communities across the country as bicycle friendly through different levels. Bronze, which is, it takes effort and work to be a bronze level community. The same as you're in the Olympics and you get the bronze medal. That doesn't mean that you're slow. That just means You know, you are doing pretty good. You're in the top 3, but you know, there's a couple of other people who are just a little bit faster. But you still, I mean, to be able to get an Olympic medal, that's a wonderful achievement, no matter what medal is made of. So the same thing, you know, we need to do work to get a bronze designation. But there's bronze, there's silver, there's gold, there's platinum. And so I highlight this because the way that we are developing the plan and developing the framework for the plan and the recommendations for the plan are very much in keeping with the way that communities are evaluated, and will facilitate consideration of the city of Chaska's efforts. You can see that, and we've had this conversation before. You know, last month we went through the organization of the plan chapters, and we talked about the different programs. This is just very brief. The plan itself is organized in these chapters. There's an introduction section, let's call it section 1, where there is the introduction to the plan, the goals of the plan, the vision for the plan. We talk about, you know, what are the existing conditions, what is the framework. There's not really any recommendations in that section. It's just basically what is here today and what are our goals. The second section is where the recommendations are. And these are organized as chapters, and each chapter responds to one of the E's of that 6 E's framework that the League of American Bicyclists uses to evaluate communities, you know, across the country. And pardon me while I take a little refreshing drink here. My throat's getting dry. So, you know, we had that conversation about the different programs and the different efforts that are ongoing in the city of Chaska the last time we met. So that information is in the chapter, you know, for example, what encouragement efforts are you making? That information is in the encouragement chapter. And so, and then we have different options or potential programs, and then we have recommendations. And so we're structuring the plan in this way to facilitate the 2 things. First, the city's application for a bicycle-friendly community. So the plan itself can be your application because it includes all of the efforts that you are doing today and also includes your goals. So to facilitate that, and also because it will outline the different initiatives that you may want to do in the future for each of those E's. Now, given that, so again, to show you, so each one of these, it's a chapter. Each one of these little bullet points that I'm showing is a chapter in the plan. And the way that we are thinking will be efficient and user-friendly for reviewing and finalizing the plan is that we will provide the steering committee. So you, all of you, you know, through that listserv that we have, will provide a chapter at a time for steering committee members to review and to make comments on each of those chapters. And now, I mean, it's a chapter at a time, I mean, or a separate one chapter, then another chapter, then another chapter. You might have a day when you get 3 chapters, but they're small chapters. You know, they're generally up to 10 pages each at the most. So the idea is that it helps to make the review more user-friendly in a way. It's you know, you don't have to review 120 pages at once. Just review a chapter when you have a minute to do it, read through, make your comments. So it's a bite size, you know, rather than having to eat the whole Thanksgiving dinner at once. You just take a bite here and a bite there. And, you know, eventually, by the time it's all said and done, we will have had the whole Thanksgiving dinner. But we won't even have noticed it because we've done it slowly and have chewed, you know, I don't know, 40 times, 50 times. I don't know, whatever they say we have to chew. But anyway, you get the idea. Small chapters, one at a time. Now, the way that we're going to use technology, or the process that we're going to use, is that we'll have a common document for each chapter. So there will be one file that is accessible and shared by everybody. And you'll make your comments there, and it's a shared review. It's hosted through Adobe Acrobat, but it's on the cloud. And so your comments are on the file, and then I will go through and I will review all of the comments we have received, and I'll make the changes that are needed based on those comments on the master file. And I will, as part of our tracking of comments and outcomes, I will write with each comment. That's the beauty of using something like a digital Acrobat review, is that I can write the outcome. It's like, yes, thank you for your comment. You are right. This word should be replaced with this other one. We have made that change. And that way you can go back and look at your comments and say, oh, they saw it, they acted on it. And if it is a change that we might say, well, this is not consistent with another goal, for example, so we're not recommending to make this change, we will write that on the comment as well. So you will see if a comment that you made was not included in the next draft, but you'll have the reason why. So we won't just say, no, we decline this change. We'll say, we recommend, or we're deciding to not include this recommended change because reason A, reason B, and reason C. So that for transparency and to honor also the time that you're putting into the review process. When we finish going through the entire document, we will assemble a single file with all of the updates, and then that file is going to be reviewed by the city, by city staff, who are the project management team. So city engineer, public works, maintenance, parks and recreation, all of the different city disciplines, the police department. And then after they go through and they make their comments, then that document becomes the draft for public review. So they make their comments, we make an update to the file using the same process that we're going to be using with you. And then that becomes the draft plan for public review, which is published online. Maybe we leave it out 30 days for the public to take a look at. And we're going to get comments from the public. Some of them are going to be comments that are going to make the plan better, and we're like, oh yeah, we missed that. Excellent. We'll update and we'll put the outcomes with those comments as well. There may be comments that are inconsistent with other plan goals, and we'll say we decline to make this change for this reason. So after we get those comments and we update the master document, then we have what is called the final draft plan. And then this final draft plan is what is brought in front of the city council so that they consider it for adoption. So the very first stage, and in a way the most a key shaping step for the work, is what you see at the very top, which is the first review of the project steering committee. The first review that you do for each of the chapters. So it's a really key and very important role for the plan. We really are going to need your help with that effort. And we're setting up this process so it's small bites at a time, so it doesn't become overwhelming to go through 120 pages of a plan. Here I have an image from the education. So there's a 6 E's chapter. One of them is education as one of the 6 E's. And here you see a sample page of what you might get in your packet. I mean, what you will get in your packet when you review this chapter. So just I'm going to show you a couple of the items that we'll be asking you to take a look at. So you get there'll be 10 pages for education, and you are reviewing this page. You will note that there may be on that page places where there's a note that says verify. And so, and what the information, this is actually comes from our conversation. My understanding was that the school district is coordinating the mountain biking classes for young people and adults. And this was stuff that we got through that survey that we sent out. It may be that this is not actually correct. And the reason why this is highlighted for verify is that we didn't really get strong confirmation on that during our last meeting when we discussed this. And so you'll see a note that says verify. So if you know if this is true or not, you can make a comment and say, it's not the school district that coordinates the mountain biking classes. It's a independent club, or it's the bike shop. So you could put a comment there, and that will inform what's there. Another type of comment or verification as you read things. So you want to see if things are accurate, if they reflect the truth. You also, if you can, answer some of the questions that we're going to leave in the document for you. You might notice bad grammar, bad writing, misspellings. Please note them so that we can correct that. And so you might see that kind of issue. Now, the other set of it, so there's content, there's accuracy, there's spelling and grammar, clarity of writing, but there's also the visual component. And you're going to see a lot of images of the Mississippi in the document, and not in the chapter that we're going to start with today, but some of the later ones, because what we're trying to do now, remember that one of the goals is to get designation as a bicycle-friendly community. In a way, this plan is a marketing document for Chaska for gaining this designation, but also for showing to people who are interested in moving to Chaska, for example, that this is a place with a lot of biking activity. And so we want to highlight the things that you do. And we have some images of what you do, but we don't have images for everything that you do, or even for most of the things that you do. So we know that the school district, for example, has this fleet of 40 bicycles. We don't have a picture of it, and it would be powerful to show, you can see the note underneath that top image, update with image of bike fleet. So if you have access to an image of the bike fleet, or if you're a member of the school district, could you take a photo of the bike fleet and then put a note saying, oh, I uploaded the photo to the SharePoint, or here's the link where you can find an image, or I'm going to send you an email, or write me to get a photo of this or that. And the same, we have there's the Final Answer Friday bike rodeo under Chaska Police Department. We don't have a photo of that. So if we could get an image of that, that would be great to include in the plan as well. So it's that idea that, we'll make it, it's a communication tool in a way. This review process is a communication tool to get the content that we are needing to finalize for the plan. Overall guidance for thinking about this review process as you are reading through the documents. Is what is written here correct? Is this true? Does it reflect reality? Does it make sense what is written? If you think an assertion is made, or is there enough information provided? Do we need additional information to make that point? And this third point, is there information that should be included but is not actually here? Are we missing something? So think about that as you're reviewing the document. And the same when you're looking through images that are in the plan. Is this the best image? Is there a better image that I have that I can provide, or can I recommend something else? And then, this issue about spelling, grammar, clarity of writing. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second, just so that we can have a bit of questions and answers if anybody has any thoughts they'd like to share regarding what we've discussed so far about the plan and the plan review process. Make sense? Everybody good
That
with
makes
that?
sense to me.
Okay. All right.
Yes, makes sense. Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good, very good. And so that's great to know. So that's kind of how we're going to go through it. And we're going to be starting today, actually. I'm going to be sharing a file with you in a few minutes, and I'll show you how we'll access and move through things to get these things done. So I'm going to get back to sharing my screen very briefly, and we'll go to the next steps. Just a second while it loads. Okay, so the review tool that we're going to use, as I mentioned, is Acrobat Shared Review. We've used it previously. We've used it on 2 occasions. We used it for reviewing the community engagement plan, and we've used it as well for the toolbox of facilities.
Okay.
And so you'll be familiar with it because you've used it before. But maybe to remind you a little bit of how it works. So you're gonna have a link. I'm gonna send you a link to begin your review. When you click on the link, it will bring you to a web page, which is what you're seeing right now. It might ask you to sign in. So if you have an Adobe Acrobat or an Adobe Creative Cloud account, sign in with your credentials. You can also, but you don't need to have an account at all. You can sign in as a guest. And the only thing that I ask is that if you're signing in as a guest, which only requires you to type your name, is that you use your true name and that you use it consistently, meaning, like, for example, me, if I were a guest, that I come in, I sign in as Antonio, or I sign in as Antonio Rosell or as A. Rosell, it's going to think I'm 3 different people, because you can keep coming back and adding comments in and out. And so just use the same name the 3 times so that, first of all, you'll be able to see all of your comments and filter them more easily. And so that we're able to easily tell, who, sometimes I think, I don't know if this is the case here or not, but sometimes there are like 2 Michaels or sometimes 3 Michaels in a steering committee, and we want to know which Michael we need to get back to, for example. Just to refresh your memory about the controls of this tool, right when you open up that link and it brings you to this web page, what I'm showing in orange are the tools that you have available for commenting. You have a highlighter, you have a commenting tool, you have a underline, you have a strike through and a pencil for making comments. And so that's right in the middle of your screen. Those are the tools that you use. You also have a set of tools that come up when you select text, and then a little dialogue, not a dialogue, but like a little palette or palette, I guess. I'm not sure which way I should pronounce it, but anyway, 3 or 4 little icons come up, and you've selected text, the icons come up, and you can just select the tool you want to use for the text. And then another command or another tool that is within the screen is right here on the left side of the screen. And this is where you can see thumbnails of the pages. And so you click on that, it'll open up, it'll expand that space, and you'll see little thumbnails of all of the pages in the document, so you can quickly jump back and forth without scrolling. Your comments and commenting area will be on the side. This is where the comments that you make will show up. And if you put a cursor somewhere, the place where it says add a comment, that's where you'll be typing it, depending on which command you are using. You'll also see, all of the comments and all the responses. Lastly, this little icon here, which is very easy to miss, but it's super important, is a filtering tool. When you click on that, it brings up a dialogue and you're able to, for example, filter comments that have been closed or have been accepted or have been resolved. And you can hide comments from others or by others. You can hide comments that are without a response, etc. You have a number of filtering options, and it's a very handy way of quickly finding, for example, what response did your comments get, or what kind of comments have been accepted. So we're all going to be on this single file, for each of the chapters. We all will be working on the same file, and so you are able to make comments. You're also able to comment on somebody else's comment, and if somebody has a question, or if a piece of information is incorrect or needs additional detail, you can also type in there, and that'll help make our process more efficient. Now, with that, I think it's time for me to review the web and tool. You see that little handy note that I have in there. So I am going to switch my screen. I'm going to switch my application. I'm going to go to my browser. So you should be seeing my browser now. And the way that I'm going to, let me hide this floating panel. Okay. The way that we're going to access or keep track of the documents is kind of simple. We're going to do two things. For today, I'm going to send you one link, directly send you a link to this introduction and approach chapter, which is a very simple chapter. It's about 6 or 7 pages, and I'll show it to you now. But what I also want to show you is a page, and this is not, the final address, and this is a very funny URL, but this is just because it's going to be a private address that is not meant to be distributed to the public, because this is a page that is only for the steering committee to review these chapters, which are not quite ready yet for distribution to the public, right? You saw the process. So this is internal, this is private to the steering committee, and this is where we're going to do the work to improve, all of the content that is in the chapters. And so please make sure to not share these files with others yet. It's not time. They're not, we're busy in the kitchen baking our wonderful pie. We can't give people the pie before it's cooked because they won't like it as much. Once it's cooked though, and it starts to smell nice, and you see it bubbling across the crust on the top, and then yes, in about 30 minutes, this will be ready and I can share it, and I can begin to sell slices for a good price and set up my kitchen working pretty well. So, but we're not there yet, but we have that in our mind because we know that's coming. So in that same way, this is our private kitchen area. We are working with our recipe here, and eventually, I mean, eventually not like a year from now, but eventually within the next 3 weeks, probably, you will see that in this plan review page, all of these will be linked. And right now, only this one is linked because we're going through the process of kind of optimizing each individual chapter. And you will get a link, and I will let you know, please review X chapter, please review the encouragement chapter, please review the engineering chapter, etc. And you'll be able to just quickly click on these, and it will open the right file. Just in general, we have our programs chapters are pretty well advanced. So I expect to get a couple of them this week yet. Engineering and planning is going to take a little bit longer, so maybe another couple of weeks. And this kind of initial section, we should be sending you at least a couple of those chapters as well within the next week or so. So we're filling this in. And when you come to the page, or when you receive the link that I will send you, you know, maybe I'll do it for real. Sometimes when we're hosting the meeting, the internet works a little bit funnily, but let's see if it opens it. Okay, so you will click on that same link, and I will close this other one that I had done as an emergency. So you can see that it's opening a window and it's loading very slowly. Maybe I shouldn't have closed that other one. I got optimistic. Okay. Oh, see, it's loading a little bit. Okay, little by little. This will be much faster when you're doing it, if you don't have Zoom running in the background, sharing your screen. Anyhow, the document will open, and this is good. That's where you can see the process. Put this over here. Yeah, my screen is spinning a little bit. This is only 9 pages right now.
Antonio, this is Liz. I have a quick question while we wait for this to load.
Yes.
With the listening sessions not yet occurring, will we have time still to update the final document to incorporate some of the listening groups and their feedback and what we analyze from them?
Yes, exactly. That's a great question. Thank you, Liz. So the listening sessions are going to do a couple of really important things for us. They're going to let us know of any potential blind spots in our recommendations, you know, and that for sure we'll need to address right away. They also will add additional guidance related to what is important to people, and it'll give us additional content where we can say, you know, for X or Y population, or for people living in this part of town, these are issues that are important. And so we'll be able to modify the document. You know, I know Marshall wasn't able to join us today, but he and I have been talking a little bit, and he has confirmed that we have a little bit more time than we had initially thought for the work. So that is going to be super helpful as well, to allow us to make modifications to the document in time. And, you know, we'll be able to, so we have this time frame of, you know, the chapters, and then we have the draft that gets reviewed internally by the city staff, and then we have the public draft for review, which is out, you know, for 30 days or so. So in truth, we have probably about, I would say, at least 60 to 90 days yet before we have a final draft, you know, between all the updates and the internal review and so on. So we have, I think, a lot of time to incorporate the guidance from the public, from the listening sessions. Earlier today, Mary and I were exchanging dates for the listening sessions, and it looks like they may occur in the first week or 2 of October. So I think the last date we were looking at was October 15th or 13th. And so for sure we'll have that, you know, within the month, and we'll modify the documents to address that, to account for that. That's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
So here, let me show you. Now this has finally loaded. So let me show you a little bit what we have with this tool. It comes in, it fills up the page a little bit, and as you expand or shrink your window, you know, the document will vary size. If it's too big, or you want to see the, you know, if you want to be able to see more of the page, you have controls at the bottom of the screen that allow you to zoom in or out. So I've just zoomed out, for example, and I'm gonna. So this is a very simple kind of easy starting bite. So this is the cover, the acknowledgements page, the table of contents. Of course, the page numbers are going to be wrong because the other elements are not there yet. But it lets you see, first of all, the layout, some of the choices in colors and fonts and arrangement. Now, this is the first chapter, Introduction and Approach. We talk about where the plan comes from and why biking is important, why walking is important. We talk about active living and 6 E's. This is the vision that we developed based on the comments that the steering committee provided and from other comments that we received from engagement. And here's a quick summary as well of some of the priorities that we found out. Why plan for walking and biking? Why is it, these are some, and it may be that these reasons you agree with or disagree with or have additional ones or think that, so use this to place your comments related to that. Goals for the plan. Something else that I should mention, all of the chapters that you review will have a date attached to them so that exactly when that was exported. So and if there's a newer version, you will know that as well. And always we have this reminder about not distributing it just because it's not quite ready. And this actually may be this is the last page of this first bite. So it's very brief, but it sets the tone for the document. It sets the tone for the plan. So it's about 6 or 7 pages of actual content. If you have comments about what is covered or images that you think we should replace, etc., feel free to make those changes. And I'm gonna just highlight. I'm gonna put a couple of fake comments in there. So let's say that I wanted to change this into, I don't know, about the great plan. So you see how, as I'm highlighting, you see that that there's this little palette with 3 icons come up, and I can just face up, and I'm going to highlight this. And did you notice here on the right side, Antonio Rosell just now? And I'm going to put something here. I think this font should be bigger. So I've made that comment, but that's not registered yet to the cloud. Make sure to hit post so that it gets published. And then I or somebody else can come by later, and you see how it says add a reply. I can come by later. I agree. Font 95 size, please. And then, so there's replies and replies. And then when we go through the process, and of course, this is all going to, just show myself here as I can, as a reviewer, you see the initial comment, if you have nested comments, talks about resolving or deleting. So, I would come by, let's say that you made this comment, and I agree, which I already said, I guess there, but now it's me, the editor or writer of the plan, saying, okay, thanks for your comment. We have made the font bigger as you requested. So then I would post that and then resolve the comment. And so what that would mean is that, that issue has now been resolved and it wouldn't be a pending issue. And if you want to use the filter, I want to see unresolved comments only. And you see how, unread comments, when was it posted, who made the comment. Now it doesn't show because, and you can see with this little dot that the filter is active. So it's filtered some comments out. It's filtered out the comments that are resolved because there's no reason to have them there right now, but they are not deleted. They are simply, the issue has been addressed. And that way it helps us to keep track of what's still pending. Now, if you wanted to see the resolved comments, so I want to see resolved and not the unresolved. So I just want to see resolved only. I apply and, there it is back again. So I think, it's 6:25. I think with that, I don't know if there are, maybe I'll go back to the presentation just for a quick second. I think I had a couple of other quick items to share with you. So next steps for the plan, I'll be writing you fairly actively over the next few weeks, saying, the X or Y chapter is now ready, or, please go to the master webpage where the pages are available. The thing with photos, you will see that in the next chapters, the specific requests for photos. So if you have an image, or if you can take an image that you can share with us, that would be great, because we want to fill this up and have it, really be a helpful tool for getting that designation and for moving the momentum forward for implementation. Being a bicycle-friendly community or designated bicycle-friendly community can open up doors for funding as well. So we want to explore that. And what I'll be working on is getting all the chapters ready and available for your review, so that when we meet next, which is in the middle of October, October 19th, we'll be talking about what we have learned and all the work that is completed and what is pending to get it to that draft for public review. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen, and I want to make sure that I hear your comments and questions if you have any. Any comments, any question, anyone?
Antonio, I think this is looking really, really good. The layout of the report and the content that you have planned to go in there, and also the opportunity for us and others to easily review it and provide some feedback. So I'm really pleased with what you've done. This is going to be good.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I appreciate that. Thank you. Any other thoughts or comments anyone would like to share?
I'll agree with Patrick. Just looking at the way the layout is designed, just in the short little segment that you showed us, it looks, like you said, easy to digest, read, take in, and review. So I look forward to seeing more. Just, let me know if there's anything otherwise that you need. So I've been slacking. I was gonna do pictures. I haven't gotten that piece of it done, but just let me know if you need something like that. I feel like that's one of the big areas I could maybe help.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions before we adjourn? Okay. Okay. Well, it looks like we are 1 minute ahead of schedule then. Good. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time tonight. We'll have a video of our meeting available at the project website. And, I'll send a note out for everybody on the steering committee as well. So, and I'll be in touch over the next few weeks with emails with updates. So
Sounds
thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you all very much. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
rest of your night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.